This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Marc.
Welcome back to the Let's Talk Business podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk with Wayne Pettit, founder of Resilient Roots, a company that helps service-based businesses scale to 7 and 8 figures through a clear strategy, proven sales systems, and bold execution. Sounds like a commercial. Jake, welcome to the show.
Hi, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the CEO of Social Media Lead Force, a company that provides Facebook group lead generation that is proven to work for service-based businesses. If you run a service-based business that would benefit from being promoted in local mom and neighborhood Facebook groups, reach out. Those are coveted spots too, by the way. Reach out to us at socialmedialeadforce.com.
And I'm your co-host, Genevieve Sims with the Evolve Firm, where we help business owners create branding strategies to help evolve and elevate their brand. Also, Vice President of Business Professionals of San Antonio. And we have our April Networking Mixer coming up on April 9th at 5:30 over at The Rock, the new Spurs Center. And we are excited to have the Spurs Give as a nonprofit of the month. They are the official nonprofit for our Spurs. So hopefully you guys can make it. Make sure to register on bpsaevents.com.
And I'm your other co-host, Keaton Freeberg, co-founder of Texas Suits Law Firm. Our firm assists business and real estate owners with deals and disputes, making sure that their legal interests are protected.
All right. Also a fellow Provisors member.
Yes, that's me.
So I'm going to get your commitment now. You going on the cruise with me in 2026?
We're going.
All right. Love it. See, I like a little pressure, but he handles it well.
Yeah.
Now I have verbal commitment.
Yeah, it's non-binding. All right, a quick reminder to follow the Let's Talk Business podcast on all major podcast platforms and social media where you can catch video versions of the show and where you can watch us just yammer. We should do some outtakes, though, one of these days. Mm-hmm. I'll have the team put some of those together.
We have plenty of
Blooper reel.
We just made up like 5 minutes
I
right before we
know.
started this.
Don't
Right.
erase those, Brooke.
You can get to everything easily from our website at satalkradio.com. All right, Jake, so tell me a little bit about your background. I know we were introduced by Garrett, so excited to talk with you. You got
Shout
an
out,
impressive background, yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background. What led you into the world of producing 7 and 8 figure service-based businesses?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I got into the trades roughly around 10 years ago and started out as, in the field as like a tech for a little while, then install, and then got into, didn't know anything about the trades, nothing at all 10 years ago. And slowly wanted to figure out how to run the business eventually. But that being said, a little bit about, I'm going to have to cut out some of this stuff. Is that okay?
No, it's all live,
Just
baby.
go.
Yeah,
Oh.
No,
it's
you're
it's
good.
running and running.
Yeah, so I got into the business, like I said, 10 years ago, and didn't know anything about the trades, nothing at all, and had an owner, shout out Brad Schneider, train me and teach me everything, and basically really everything I needed to know about HVAC particularly, and slowly outgrew that company and moved over to a local, one of the largest home service businesses here in San Antonio, became their top producer for several years in a row, and after that, decided to go and help a buddy start his business. We grew his business to $2.4 million in their first year, and found entrepreneurship. And I've always kind of wanted to be an entrepreneur, but didn't know how to run a business. And this was roughly around 7 years ago, and went out and after helping him grow his, and that's whenever I went out and became an entrepreneur.
What is it you like about entrepreneurship? I mean, because you're good in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship's different. There's a difference between working for a company, being a sales performer, and then actually putting all the pieces together, managing that through success. But what do you like about entrepreneurship?
It's a great question. I don't view it that way, though. I view sales and entrepreneurship very similar because as an individual, to be able to sell, you got to be creative and put problems together, right? And that's how you convert a sell over. For me, what I like about entrepreneurship is the creativity behind it, creating something from nothing. And that's what I really enjoy. For me, it's more about, like I said, the creative side of things and seeing a problem that people have and being able to solve it, but really starting from scratch and being creative with that.
Keaton, how would you contrast that? Because you're a partner in a law firm, you helped build that practice up. What do you love about entrepreneurship?
I really love that I love that at the end of the day, you're making all the decisions. I love that the buck stops with you. So if you're gonna, you got to be the person to make something happen. You got to take full responsibility for it, and I love that. I feel like if I was working for somebody, I wouldn't be as incentivized to make things happen. But now knowing that, you might be the only one that's going to make something happen, it's tons of motivation.
Absolutely. That's the best part.
It's fun.
I think it's when you're working for somebody, you have a limit.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, if you do it for them, they get the credit.
Yeah.
Versus with your business, you get the credit for doing it and solving the problem. So that's a great part of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that actually, if you think that way, I think that at least partially defines the personality of an entrepreneur. Is there's not enough reward, there's not enough risk, there's not enough incentive to do it at a high level or your highest, most maximum level, which is how we want to perform, So, all right, I was just curious on motivation there because we've had hundreds of conversations with entrepreneurs, and their reasons vary. Some people kid themselves into what entrepreneurship is, starting a business, and they're like, I just want to be my own boss. Well, that's nice, but I mean, there's so many other factors that go into it. They just want to move the widget from here to there, and they want their paycheck, but that's not entrepreneurship. So,
No, you're exactly right. It's entrepreneurship it's not for everybody either. It's definitely hard. It's not you get the highs and the lows from growing your business, from revenue to not having any revenue. So that's the creative side. That's the thing I like a lot.
yeah, it's constantly solving problems.
Exactly. And I also love about being an entrepreneur is being able to provide a job for people, and, that weight of responsibility to support people with a job that only supports their family is super satisfying to me.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. It gives me so much satisfaction to know that you could help other people provide for themselves or for their families. I love that.
For sure.
And the weight, the pressure that you feel from it is actually, I enjoy it.
Right.
And I want to provide more people with the ability to provide for their families and stuff like that. And that's motivation as well.
I had one of my first mentors tell me, his name was Colin Sewell. He owns the Sewell family of dealerships out in West Texas. And he owns about 9 dealerships. And he mentored me every single week for 4 years. And very successful businessman. And he told me, he goes, Jake, he goes, a lot of people chase success. Everybody wants success. He goes, but where you get the true satisfaction is going from success to significance. And that never, as a young guy, man, it was really kind of hard for me to understand that. But that's part of entrepreneurship is that I love is going not only to having the success, but being significant in other people's lives by not only your employees, but the customers you get to take care of is, how do you make a small impact in their life and be significant? And that's something I'm super passionate about that.
Yeah, we've heard that word. We said that word around here, impact, quite a bit. Not so much significance, but I see them kind of similar. But having impact, that drives me as well.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Even doing. I like to do events, but it's because getting a group of people together. I'm a big networker, but you can have a lot more impact and success and significance when you do it in bulk. When you're doing it in big crowds. So hence the mixer that we got coming up at the end of the month, and then the cruise mixer that I'm planning too. That's all about impact and doing it at a high level. It's like, why? I don't want to just be an attendee. I want to be a sponsor. And you know what? I don't want to be a sponsor. I want to be the one throwing the party.
Right.
It's like, that's how I think, So how's that impact your family?
It's actually been really good because you're talking about Keaton from, you own Texas Suits, right? And you're talking about going from a W-2 job and being on your own and stuff like that. So for me, I had a hard time of going to, so it's funny when you think about people who have a W-2 job, and no, shout out to people that do, that's great. We need those people. But for me, it's, I don't like the wake up every morning, go to work, clock in, work all day, and then clock out, go home, spend time with your family, and you find out that you're with these people at work more than you are with your own family. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship is like I have 3 small girls, and my wife and I have been married for 15 years, that I just had a hard time, for the longest time. It never made sense to me. They don't teach you this stuff in school. And for me, I wanted to be able to spend valuable time with them whenever I wanted, right? So if I don't want to work at 3 o'clock and I want to spend an hour with my girls and hang out and, I'll finish my work day after that, I can. And so for me and my family, it's been super impactful because we not only my wife's my business partner, but we also homeschool our girls because we want to be able to travel wherever we want, when we want, and not answer to anybody.
When you said I go to work for 8 hours and I know work people, I immediately thought it's the same thing as school.
Yeah,
they go to school for 8 hours, and they're more impacted by the teachers and the other students there than they are about the parents, and there's a disconnect there. So I was relating to you, and I homeschooled Brooke the whole way.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. We're really unschooled. I mean, it's a different vibe. It's a different stage, but I don't want to get too far off topic, but just curious how you and your wife manage some of the, because look, Jennifer, I'm going to say it, has difficulty shutting off at 5 o'clock, and she wants to talk. And if by the time I'm on the couch and I want to relax and she wants to talk, well, how, she wants to ask me questions because she's got her laptop on her. How do you draw the boundaries there? How do you guys do that so you can have a normal after work life?
Yeah, so it is hard because I guess I'm like, I don't know, Jennifer. Yeah, so I'm like Jennifer. I don't shut it off because this is, I think about business, it's kind of like an art, It's my canvas. I get to paint, and I constantly think about the next piece of art I can do if it's in my current business or what I want to do in the next 5-10 years from now. And so my mind doesn't shut off with that. So for me, it's more of when I'm with them, I spend intentional time. So put the phone away, being able to engage with the conversation if it's my wife or it's my daughters. So it's a really intentional time. If it's 5, 10, 20 minutes, if it's an hour, I really try to shut that off but then I get back at it. Sometimes it's late at night. For me, it's just in the time that I'm with them, I try to be very intentional with my time with them.
I love how you said that, intentional, because it's so important. For me, as an entrepreneur, you never turn it off, like you said, because anywhere you go, you also look for opportunities.
For sure.
So you never shut it off. And when you're with your family, it's very important to put the phone away,
right.
To let them know that their time is valuable too. And that's the most important thing. That's why we're doing this, to leave that legacy. So if they can see us with a good work-life balance, then they can also implement that too and reflect it.
Right. No, and that's really good because we talk about, in my family, we share with the business with our girls. So we tell them about our business. We tell them our goals. We ask them their goals. So right now we're kind of, my 9-year-old's super interested in business. She really is. She has a lot of my personality. And she's like coming up with all the different creative ways to start her own thing. So what we're doing for my daughter, and this is stuff they don't teach you in school, this is what's wild, is we're taking my daughter, and my wife's a very creative person, and we're doing this thing called the Joyful Type Company for her. And basically, my daughter Addison is super creative, and she likes to draw these different things, and we're going to post it online. And it's for younger kids that just want to have little art books they want to,
Amazing.
And it's just a little bit of a way for her to kind of, and so what we're going to do with her is teach her how to run her business,
there
right?
You go.
And just, because I want her to have, I want her to be able to sustain herself when she grows and when she gets older and chase that entrepreneur mindset if she desires that. So
that's so important to be able to encourage that because it's so needed right now, and they'll learn more from watching us than I'm not going to say school, but my son, when he was 10 at elementary, that was the time comic books were coming back. And so what I ended up doing was showing him, because everybody loved to make their own comic books. So I showed him how to make a template and staple it, fold it, sold it for 50 cents. And he made a lot of money because everybody wanted to make their own comic books.
Right.
And that was just a small thing. And now he's got 3 businesses.
That's amazing.
And he's only 14.
Wow, that's amazing. It's super cool at 14 years old. Holy cow.
I love that. I don't have kids, but whenever I drive home, on both sides of the road, some kid is selling bracelets, one selling lemonade, there's somebody selling cupcakes, and I can't not stop.
Oh, yeah.
And so I come home and Alana's like, what is all of this? I'm like, I have to, because what if they take it and then what if they do something with it someday?
Yeah.
Or what if
You're going to be such a good dad.
Or what if you're the
Yeah,
only
man.
customer?
He
Like
is.
it's too exciting. So
I can't wait till you guys start having kids. I want to see you around your kiddos, man.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
I want to adopt you as my dad.
we'll see what we can do.
All right, so tell me about the problem solvers. Give me a quick rundown of when you came in, what happened, and how you got out.
Yeah. And so Problem Solvers, man, what a great business we started. So what we did was one of my great buddies decided to leave a company that him and his dad started to step down as president of that organization, and decided to leave and reached out to me and was like, Jake, let's have some lunch. And we went and had lunch, and he saw that at the time I owned a company called Black Buck Construction and Consulting, and we were just a general contracting company. And I was had a couple other buddies that I was subbing a lot of work out to, right? And so one owned an electrical company and one owned a HVAC company. And so Brandon and I, it's cool if I say names on here? Okay. So I don't know if you want to... He left John Wayne Service Company, so I don't know how he would feel if I guess it doesn't matter, right? Can you cut this stuff out?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
This is like almost live.
Yeah. So my buddy Brandon Rackler, shout out to Brandon. He left his family company and decided to go and he wanted to go in business. We wanted to do something together. So me, Brandon Rackler, and a guy named Jesse Hernandez and Jason Balderas decided to take all of our companies, merge it into one, and rename the company, rebrand, and all of our individual businesses. There's attorneys involved and stuff doing the contracts. And we merged our companies together and rebranded it and named it the Problem Solvers. And so it was fun. Now, do I recommend people going out and start a company from scratch? And I guess we weren't technically we weren't from scratch, even though we were, because we had to go out to the market and explain to people like, we're the problem solvers. We're not,
I would say it was harder because you're talking about bringing all those personalities together. Mm-hmm. It's like herding cats, I would think.
Oh, it was. It was, it's very interesting.
So these were all trades?
These were all trades, yeah.
So you merged everybody together. But I imagine there was a huge benefit to that because now you take everybody's client lists and you merge them together, and now you can offer these different services to pre-existing clients.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we did. Is we emailed and messaged out to all of our existing client base, and told them about the merger, and then scaled it from there. At that point,
because now you're servicing electrical, plumbing. What else?
We do HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and we do roofing and construction over there.
Yeah.
And
so you go there, you're a one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, there's plenty
Solution.
more things that can happen at this house. You start referring within the company.
Oh,
basically,
absolutely.
different jobs.
And that's what we found out with a lot of homeowners is, a lot of homeowners have a really hard time of, okay, I got to get an HVAC company out, right? Get an HVAC company out. And then, you have a problem with your electrical panel because it's obsolete. It's FPE or Zinsco, those obsolete panels. And it's like, instead of subbing out or finding an electrical company to come out and take care of their panel, well, hey, guess what? We're problem solvers. We can take care of that for you. And so homeowners seem to really loved that. So yeah, we merged together and remarketed to our client base, and then got them signed up on our memberships, and we scaled it from there.
so they were receptive to the merger.
Oh, a lot of people loved the merger.
And what's the membership? Dying to hear about this.
Yeah, so the membership is like if you have a home, you do a maintenance membership on your HVAC system. So instead of us doing maintenance on just an HVAC system, you would sign up for your house. We would also would go in there and do a maintenance on your plumbing system, would do maintenance on also your electrical panel, because a lot of people don't know, you still have to have those things maintenance. How many switches do you have out in your house? How many, even if it's as simple as a light bulb, there's homeowners that can't change the light bulb because, they're elderly or they have physical conditions. So we have a membership that, we come out, whenever you sign up on our membership, We do all the maintenance for your HVAC system. We do the maintenance for your plumbing system. So what that means is we flush your water heaters for you. We make sure that
Water pressure.
water pressure is good, making sure your PRV is acting the way it should be, all that great stuff. And then we also do a tune-up on your electrical system.
And this is the company you sold. So what was your exit strategy there?
So I haven't sold. I'm still a silent partner there.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
What percentage?
So I'm a 10% silent partner over there.
So you don't have to do anything and you make 10%. That's not bad.
Yeah. So
But you put in the equity and the sweat ahead of time.
I just did that exit. I just stepped down as silent partner mid-December.
You stepped down to silent partner in mid-December.
From operating partner to silent, yeah.
Wow.
Do you find that one of the trades makes more money than the other trades?
Yeah, where's the real money at?
That's a great question there. HVAC. So HVAC makes a lot of money.
San Antonio.
It is San Antonio.
It's HVAC.
HVAC does really well just because it is San Antonio. But obviously, material cost is really expensive too on some of that stuff. And also too, they all three do really well. Really, they do, because on electrical, everybody's scared of electrical, so nobody wants to try to do their own electrical whenever people will do their own mini splits or something like that, and they mess it up and they call us out there and we come and take care of them, right? So I'd say all three of them are pretty much the same. So we have, the way we have it structured is we have a manager for each department. So we have a manager for plumbing, manager for HVAC, a manager for electrical, and then there's technicians and installers that are underneath them. So like when people call in, it's like, hey, I need somebody to come out to my house and maintenance my HVAC system, or hey, I have a service call, or my system's not working. Well, what we do is we send our technician. If it's HVAC, technician goes out to the house, starts building a connection with the homeowner. After building the connection with the homeowner, find out if there's any other problems that they're having in their home, and if it's a plumbing issue. Because most of the time, what we have found out is when a customer calls in for an HVAC or an electrical issue, they've had other issues in their house that are beyond just what they called for. And so our technician will go out there, look at everything for that homeowner, and find out if there's other issues. And if they want, we get a plumbing tech over there, or an HVAC or a electrical tech out there, and take a look at everything that they need in their home.
How do you incentivize your techs to cross-sale?
So we do give them a payout for that. Okay. So it's we do it's a flat rate is what we call it. Mm-hmm. So we do incentivize them pretty well for that. But at the end of the day, we don't push our techs to sell. What I mean by that is we teach our techs to provide high quality service. Sure. If you provide high quality service, you get a sell. Sure. Right? So our techs aren't out there to push a product on you that you don't need, right? We're there to solve problems, not create them. And so we teach them, provide great service to the homeowner. Ask questions. Find out all the things that are going on in their house that you could help alleviate some of that issue. And by doing that, you end up getting a sale, and you also end up getting a lifetime client that'll you can take care of for the rest they're in that house, or when they move to another house. Right?
Love that.
Well, I'm curious about your process. Are your technicians contracted out, or they're actual employees?
Oh, they're actual employees. Yeah,
so you have a few. How many do you have per each?
So we have 38 technicians now. I think we have more than that now. But there's 10 HVAC techs, 7 technicians, 7 to 10 HVAC techs. We have 5 electricians. These aren't even including install teams. Then we have 5 plumbers as well. So
I think that's one of the main things that with service-based businesses is that they contract out. And so you never know who's going to come to your door when they say, oh, we're sending this guy out, and then another person. And then that's kind of a frustrating thing for a homeowner, because you're always talking to somebody else. Yeah. You got to re-explain the whole thing again. And so I was curious about that.
No, and great question. And the reason we don't contract out is you got to control the flow of operation. You got to control the quality of work, and you can't do that if you're calling. You can to an extent. And there are some smaller companies that, that works really well for, because it's expensive to have employees, right? It really is.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to be able to control the type of quality of work that's being put in, and that SOP behind all that service, your standing operating procedures. So we have a whole process for that. We train our techs and all that good stuff. So yeah.
I think that's so important. A lot of, buyer behaviors always change, with clientele, but a lot of people are now looking into that to make sure they're actually your employees
Right.
versus contractors, just because of the liability part
And-
also.
Yeah, and then real quick on the problem solvers too. Is it okay if I continue? Okay, so real quick on the problem solvers is, man, I loved what we created over there. That business, it's super awesome business. It's fun too, but we wanted to be a little bit different for our employees in our core values. So you'll hear like some companies will say, "Hey, I want quality. I want a great customer service, whatever." So we created core values that's like family first, quality over quantity, be accountable, live with integrity. So some of those are super important to us, because we want to be able to give that back to our employees. That like, hey, if we take care of you guys really, really well, you're paid well and take care of you. Give you time off, because in the home service industry, it's super difficult. You're working all the time. And so you'll see the divorce rates go really high up in our industry. And so we want like their family to be the most important thing to us, and also like our internal family. And so give them the time off when they need to. But so if we take care of our employees, then the cool thing about that is like they take care of our customers even better, right? If a guy's been working, 14 days straight or 12 days straight, that's not healthy, because he's like drained. It's hot, and out in San Antonio, if it's 100 degrees outside, that attic's 160 to 180 degrees. You do that for 7 days straight or longer, it's just physical and mental fatigue at that point. So we want our guys super fresh. So.
Well, it's a holistic approach to customer service when you keep the employee in mind as well. I think long term, it makes for a better work experience, which means you're going to keep your employees.
Right.
And turnover in employees is a pain.
Right. It is. It really is, because you got to retrain people. You got to get them to buy into your vision and all that great stuff. And
Plus, every new personality affects a culture, or
It does.
could potentially affect the culture that's already there.
Yeah.
Get a really strong personality could be a real problem.
And that's you touched on culture. Man, what a great word, isn't it? Culture. Because culture is super important in an organization. I talk to the guys heavily about, there's negativity and then there's positivity. And you think about negativity it's like a cancer in your organization. It can really destroy.
Absolutely.
It's like a cancer. It'll destroy every single thing that you've worked super hard for. So
Locusts.
yeah, we gotta how we do culture at the problem solvers. And I know we're talking heavily about problem solver. I'd like to get into resilient roots and stuff like that here in a minute
That's
too
next.
as well. Culture is like every Friday we have Fun Friday. We bring every single technician and installer to the office at 8 a.m. It's something we started from day one, and what we do is we cook every single one of the guys breakfast. Then we talk about the wins for the week, maybe like a client that we served that was super impactful for our technicians, to, some of the things that we could work better on and we can improve. And we bring everybody in and we cook breakfast, we celebrate, we have a good time, and it's about an hour long, and then we send everybody out and go and serve the community.
These are factors that will come up when headhunters come up looking for techs,
Right.
or employees of any kind, right? Is that there's going to be factors that employees will consider. When they love working there and they feel like they're accepted and they're heard and they're paid a fair competitive wage, why would they go anywhere else?
Right.
They're going to resist that temptation to go somewhere else, because usually you have the benefit anyway, because the devil is better than the devil you don't know, as
Right.
they say. But in this case, if they love where they're at, they're going to be more resistant to leave.
No, you're exactly right about that. So yeah, I mean, in employees, it's hard to find really great quality. We get lots of applications, and so it's finding the guys, because one of our core values is living with integrity, and you're going into homeowners' houses. That's their safe haven, right? That's their protected space, and you're trusting us to come into your safe space to serve you. And so we got to have people that work for us that have integrity and that will do the right thing no matter what, and provide that high quality service. So, yeah.
Keaton, how do you approach culture over there at Texas Suits?
Oh, I'm just as ecstatic about the word culture as you are. I think the value add that I bring to our firm and our staff, that all ties back into culture, is the mentorship. So just a ton of mentorship, and I think that at the end of the day, our staff loves that. Also, we're hanging out outside of work, not because we have to, but because everybody just gets along real well. And so whenever we're hiring, we're hiring for culture. Right. I mean, we can, at this point, we have our process and our systems down to where we can arguably bring on just about anybody. I think, there's a few things you can't train for, but at the end of the day, when I'm hiring, I'm just looking for, are you going to be a good fit? Are you going to fit in with everybody? And you can just feel it. Right. You can just feel it in the interview if you think that somebody's going to be a good fit. And so I don't know. That's
so there's another thing I take into. So with my company, I have 6 that work directly for me, right? So Abby does most of the hiring now. Like she's hiring for HR, recruiters, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the OVAs, the outsourced VAs, that's something that they do as well. But that's not really a culture thing because they're all individual, freelance contract employees. But by having somebody else do the hiring, I've instituted, okay, you're answering to her. Right, she's the one who's saying yes or no to you being hired. I'm her boss. So when it comes to structure, that's super important to me as well. That's part of culture is why I'm bringing it up, because that way when I'm not there in the day-to-day operations of everything, they know who they're answering to.
Right.
So that's just the way I kind of approach hiring and firing. What about you guys? How do you do it there?
As far as hiring?
Yeah.
Oh, I do the hiring.
Oh, you're the guy.
Yeah. We do 2 rounds.
You're probably the one I would pick too.
We
do the hiring.
We do 2 rounds because what I'm not going to do is bring somebody on and then not work out for some reason and then be this one that's like solely liable for whatever they did. So I do like a 2-step approach. I'll do the first one, and then if I feel good about it, then I'll pass them on to some other partner at the firm to also give them the go ahead.
See, I'm prior military and I was also a cop for many, many years. So it's like I understand structure, hierarchy, rank, stuff like that. And I know it does matter. Like if this is a little bit of a tangent, but I know at the substations here in town, right, that the lieutenants should be the ones with the ultimate deciding factor of who comes on the shift. But they don't have it. It's automatic. The officers they go where they want to go, but there's no control over the integrity of that shift. And I always thought that was stupid to do it that way. The sergeant should be like your front line. They're going to decide who comes, and then the lieutenant just signs off on it. That should be it. But that's not the way it works in that particular kind of a setup. So that's probably another thing, though. I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur so I can control that. Because you get one strong personality in there, it wrecked the whole shift.
Oh, for sure.
Does. Somebody who's deep in the association, the San Antonio Police Officers Association, has a lot of clout, and they have a bad attitude, and now everything goes screwy. So culture is super, super important. So I like that you take it seriously. But yeah, let's talk about Resilient Roots.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration there?
For me,
define it first, and then we'll go to the inspiration.
Define Resilient Roots.
Overall.
I was about to insert myself. We got to know what it is first.
Yeah, what is it?
So it's funny because people have asked me, what's Resilient Roots, Jake? Why are you starting that? Well, what came up with the name Resilient Roots was because, I think as an entrepreneur, it takes massive amount of resilience to keep pushing through and be successful, even whenever things are not going the way you should think it's going to go. But the name for me came up not only it's my story, how I relate to resilience. I grew up. We were super poor growing up. Lived in a trailer house, bouncing from trailer park to trailer park I'm from Odessa, Texas, so I'm not even from, I'm an old kid, that's what I was used to growing up was, my family worked in the oil business and,
the smell of it in the air.
Oh gosh, man.
I don't know how people live in that. That's awful.
I grew up in it, man. And, so for me, it was, like through my childhood and facing different obstacles as a child and being resilient through some of those things and learning. Also in my marriage too, like, marriage, I love my wife to death, but marriage is sometimes hard. It's just like having business partners. So you got to be able to fight through it, to stick together, to, continue fighting for each other sometimes, and whenever life happens to you, right? And so resilience came from that. And I thought it was a great word for just entrepreneurship in general. But the roots is like, it's the foundations that you create for like what you believe in, your core values, your purpose. And that in order to have resilience, you got to have really good roots think about an oak tree, right? An oak tree, they're huge and beautiful. They can be, right? And they're really strong whenever you look at the trunk. But in order to hold that oak tree up, that has to have really solid roots that are really deep and that are fed with great nutrition and water. And that's the way I think about resilient roots is, your core values, and hopefully I'm giving a good explanation of it. But
because I was going to take it there if you didn't,
Yeah.
because the tree won't stand if you don't have a good root system that stabilizes and nourishes the entire plant.
You're exactly right about that. And that's the way I think about entrepreneurship is in your resilience through pushing forward. You got to always go back to what's your why. Why are you an entrepreneur? Why do you have the vision of creating and being successful and having significance in other people's lives? Well, it just comes down to my roots of, how I was raised and, the type of life we try to give to our girls. And so that's why I named my organization Resilient Roots.
Okay. Now explain, what does it do?
So we help entrepreneurs, specifically in the home service business or service-based businesses. Really, it's any business, but home service-based businesses scale from where they are now to where they want to be. And what we do is we teach on, I wouldn't even say teach, we coach on more of like the 3 pillars of business: marketing, sales, and operations. And so what I have found that there's usually a war going on with one of those, meaning like people can have great marketing, but they aren't good at sales, meaning converting those leads that you market out to. Or they maybe have both those pillars that are really strong, but their operations are really bad, right? So even a more holistic approach, even to marketing, sometimes companies don't even have great branding. Their branding is awful. And some people can argue that brand isn't important because you just need, brand is super important. Like that's your brand awareness.
Let's stop right there then. So why do you think branding is so important?
And
then Genevieve can comment on that because that's her specialty.
Yeah, so branding's super important because that tells the story of your organization, who you are. And it's like when they, it's like your name, Mark, or like, why is your name important? Why is Jake's name? Why is Genevieve, right? Genevieve, sorry, Genevieve. Keaton, it's like it's your name for that entity. It's a person, right? So you got to have like a great name, great branding behind the name so it tells the public on who to trust. And so it creates the trust and the awareness to be able to, get leads in, convert those leads into a sale, get those leads into a sale, then you flow it into an operations, however your SOPs look like.
Absolutely.
So when people don't take their branding seriously, and they don't. We just don't. I mean, we don't understand the importance of it, number one, and then we don't understand how to execute on it, and then what the ultimate value of that is. So that's what I wanted you to comment on.
Yes, a lot of business owners don't know there is a difference between your brand and marketing. Branding sets the tone for your marketing. Mm-hmm. Marketing is all the entities that you visually see, your business cards, your print materials, banners, all that stuff. But your brand is the language, the heart, everything that your business stems out of. So once you set that in place, then you can communicate it to everybody in your company to build that culture. But if you don't identify the brand first, that's where a lot of business owners kind of get stuck because they think, I'll brand later. I'll brand 2-3 years later after I see how the business goes. But if you don't implement that foundation and have it take roots, you're going to end up paying more because now you're listening to everybody else's tone and what their languages are to put into your business instead of starting with your tone first.
That's really solid. And speaking of marketing, I don't want to screw up my little. Is it okay if I read something real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
I kind of stole this from Myron Gordon a while back, and he was talking about marketing. I don't know if y'all know who he is.
It's called research and development, or rip off and duplicate. We don't say steal here.
There you go. Sorry. But he wrote this thing on marketing and said it, and it just hit me when I heard it one day, was marketing is the art and science of discovering and developing in other people a desire for more and more of your product, your service, and your opportunity. And so that, going back to branding, right? Branding is the art of marketing, right? So it's creating a desire for, why do people need your services? Why do they need your product, right? A lot of people think marketing is just throwing a promotion out. Well, really, that's part of sales. That's a promotion is a sell. Right. Marketing is a brand awareness. So that's why I believe branding is super important. And then you measure marketing with data, right? So you have these leads that go out. Well, you got to measure it. Okay, where are these leads coming from? What are my KPIs on these leads? What is my ROI coming back from some of the leads that I got, right? Well, that's the science of marketing. And so you got two different categories of marketing. You got the art and you have the science.
Where are you at on? I'm going to step a little bit outside of what you've talked about in coaching, because there's other concepts that have come up on the show that I think are important too, and that's like planning for your exit, as an example. So is that something that you take into consideration when you're working with somebody? It's like, okay, what's your exit plan? What are you looking to do here? Are you looking to grow to $5 million and sell? Are you looking to do a legacy business? What are you looking to do? So is that something you take into consideration, or is that really outside your purview?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, acquisitions in the home, for some reason, PE firms and venture capitalists are super interested in acquiring these home service businesses. So it is something to take very seriously, and that I work with the business owners on that side of, like, what does that look like? What is your five-year plan? Do you want to scale to 5, 10, 15, 20 million? And then if you do, what do you want to do with the business after that? Do you have somebody to run the business, or do you want to exit your business? Well, if you want to exit your business, well, what are these PE firms looking for, right? Are they looking for, they want to look at, obviously, your net, and they sell on a multiplier. But there's other factors they look at, like your client base and how many clients you have, your brand. What's your brand? Is it?
Well, you can break that down even further, because I think a lot of people aren't even going to understand that there's an operational difference between I just started my business, and then when you're at 1 million or 2 million, and how that evolves as you go along. So you could say, do you want to be a 5, 10, $15 million business? But I think conceptually people don't. They hear the number, they like the bigger numbers, but they don't even understand what that means and what the cost is associated with getting past that first threshold of startup to, okay, now you're maybe that entry-level or mid-level business you've got there. So you run into those challenges as well, because that's something that if you were to talk to me, even now I'd still have difficulty conceptualizing what my business is going to be. Right. I know what it is at $500,000, but what's it going to be at $1 million or 2 million or whatever? It's just like harder to, because your structure changes, your people change.
It does so much. It really does. So I would say that I even work with, like, even one of my clients. He's a small company. Does about $500,000 a year, and he's been in business for 3 years. And it's a small little 3-man company, and for him, it's hard to grasp that 5, that even 3 million's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot, Jake. Well, what we did was I just took down, and I just broke down things for, I made it super simple for him to grasp. And I'm like, listen, how many leads? Let's just take it super simple. How many leads do you have a month? We pulled the report. We looked at everything. I also pulled a report on his website to look at his SEO, to look at all those things, like how is he marketing. I did a report on all that stuff for him. And I was like, okay, you're getting about 40 to 60 leads a month of average, right? And you're running these leads. Now let's track the exact KPI you're getting on these leads, meaning Right now, if you're doing $500,000, I'll look at the revenue, and then I track things called the RPL.
You're getting a little too in the weeds,
Okay.
I think. I'm trying to stay a little bit higher level on
Okay.
understanding, like
Sorry.
even structure. And you were starting out exactly where my head was at, because people don't know, well, if I'm doing 40 leads a day or 40 leads a week or whatever, then I have to 10X that. And what would that even look like?
Great question.
So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who are just in a startup phase. We don't understand what it means to be, instead of a $500,000 company, be a $3 million. It's a completely world difference. So in your mind, structural wise, what does that evolution look like to you?
I think it's it's not about leads all the time. It is, but it's not. But it's more about quality of the leads. So meaning, what I mean by that is it's depth. So meaning you could have 40 leads a month, but how are you converting those leads, for one, and what are you priced at? So are your margins, are you not even priced right? Meaning people will pay more for more value, more. So you don't need, a lot of people think you have to go get all these leads in order to get these kind of revenue. You don't. You just need to do more with what you have. And so, does that make sense? Am I answering your question?
No, you're still off on my question anyway. What I'm thinking is, like,
how do you structure that?
Your people change. We don't. Okay, if there's me, and then there's my service manager, and I got a sales manager, structure is what I'm talking about. Is projecting what does the company look like in order to even execute it a bigger. And not only that, but it's like, okay, I've got this service manager, sales manager over here, and they're really not that great. They're like mediocre. It's the people you start with aren't the ones you finish with, kind of a thing. So handling that, it's really part of culture, but it's also structure. Because that's what I'm talking about. The leads and stuff, there's plenty of value in the technical aspect of it. I was just wanted to hit the organizational structure side of it, and how, because you've worked with somebody that it was a startup, and then they ended up in 8 figures. It's like, that's a huge transformation. How much does the company change culture-wise and structure-wise?
It changes a lot. Meaning, so you hit the nail on the head a while ago. Like, whoever you're starting with typically aren't going to stay there, because they're there for a job. They don't understand what I have found, that they're there for a job and not necessarily long term. So, to answer your question, I'm trying to answer it as best as I possibly can there, because it's a pretty interesting question. But it does change, because you got to. I guess it goes back to leadership in a way. Like, everything rises and falls on leadership. Every single thing does. And so if your manager or your sales manager, your service manager, they may be good for you right now, but they're not going to be good for you when you are at those big numbers, because they could be a bottleneck to your growth. They could be the toxin in your organization that is killing it and keeping you from going to that growth. And I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, you are. So look, their ability to execute at that level changes.
Because they've never been there and they've never done that.
That's right. And now the pressure is higher, the responsibility is more, the demands are more. So this changes. Keaton, have you come into this yet over at Texas Suits, as far as, like, you guys are growing, but at some point it's like certain people are just, as much as you love them, they're not going to be able to do the job at that level that you're getting to. Have you got there yet?
Not really. What I've been able to do is move people around to what I believe is the place that they can provide the most value in the organization so far. And it's not to say that we don't get to that point at some point in time, but at this point, we're able to, especially as we really hone in on our niche and on everybody's individual capabilities, I'm able to just kind of shift people into what I think is their highest and best use.
See, I'm growing pretty fast in my organization. At least it feels like it's growing fast, and I feel like I'm getting there. Like I'm like right there, where it's like the limitations of certain folks.
So is the issue that because the individual that you hired was subjected to your organization at an earlier stage where there wasn't as much going on, that now, because there's more going on, they're not able to keep up?
Their ability level is limited. Right? They can only perform at a certain level, but the demands on the position are now getting bigger. So that's what I meant. Like, you got a sales manager, maybe you can handle, I don't know, 500 $100,000 a year in sales, and they're comfortable there. But look, $2 million is completely different than $500,000. I mean, it's a world of change, and they don't have the ability to do that. So you have to look at transitioning that person either to a different role, or hiring past them, or changing them out.
Question.
So those are hard decisions.
Question. So if you said you're right on the threshold. So you're maybe going to bring in new person. We'll call them new person.
Yeah.
If you would have hired new person in the beginning, maybe they took a risk because maybe they weren't getting paid as much or something like that. But they were ultimately who you would hire when you reach that threshold. Do you think that you would still have to transition them out if they were with you in the beginning, or do you think that
the existing person?
No, if you would have brought the new person on in the very beginning.
No, I think if they're qualified for the $1 million
growth
mark, the $1 million to $2 million growth.
Okay.
If they're there already, but you don't make those kind of decisions when you're first starting out because you're looking to mitigate costs, right? And
I think
you
you
don't
can
know what you don't know.
I have to disagree. I think you can, and I think it goes back to culture. I think if you can develop an awesome culture, and people can see the vision and people can see the growth and where they're going, that you can get somebody that would be that you would hire after you reach a certain threshold sooner.
But when Jake comes in to help these folks grow from $500,000 to $11 million, okay, this is something you're going to have to deal with.
So I think I'll answer your question, and it's I think I'm understanding what you're exactly asking. So I look at it more of like the personality of it. Have you ever heard the DISC profile?
Oh yeah, we use it in our hiring.
Yeah, so you gotta understand that individual. You're hiring them. I'm hiring people not to fire them in the future just because I scale. Because part of culture is you got to develop. So everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything. So if you're hiring people for a leadership position, it's your job as the tip of the spear and the leader to develop them, to get them to buy in the vision that you want to create for your organization. But when you're hiring that individual, you got to understand where their weak spots are. So if you don't understand that whenever you're hiring them, then are you hiring that person just because they're good at one thing, or they have the capacity to be able to help you grow in the future? Does that make sense? Oh, you know this, Mark. I'm over here to... Anyways, so for me, I got to understand that personality type of that person. So where do they fall in the DISC profile? I like to use the DISC profile. There's Enneagram, Myers-Briggs. They're all pretty similar, right? But like if my vision for the organization is to grow, and even whenever I'm working with people, if I find out their vision and hear their vision of where they want to be with their organization, if they're at $100,000 a year or they're $500,000 or wherever they're at, it's like, okay, well, who on your team is buying into the vision, right? Who understands the vision of the company? And I want to understand what that. So I talk to them more on an individual basis. Is let's hear their why. Why are they working for ABC company? Why are you here? And I do this more on a one-on-one standpoint. Is like understanding why they're there. Are they there just for a job, or are they buying the vision? Okay, they don't buy into the vision. That's a bottleneck for the owner of this organization.
So you're looking, when you come into an organization to help, you're going to talk to everybody, and
Absolutely.
You're looking for the winners, for lack of a better word, that really are bought in.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to have to come in and make sure they have the training and the support they need in order to grow into the position that you want, in the direction you want them to go.
Absolutely. There's a company also, I was talking about the $500,000. There's another company I'm working with that they're doing $3 million a year. And the owner was getting a lot of phone calls from technicians and things like that. But after talking to all the employees, I also coach them on a weekly basis, their employees. But through sales coaching is what they kind of need. But I'm working with the owner on the 3 pillars of marketing, sales, and operations. And by talking to him and getting to understand his employees, well, I'm like, hey, John, like, you have this one individual. You're getting all these phone calls from technical support and all that. You have this one individual in your organization that's already tech savvy. The techs already respect him a lot. Like, why is he still running service calls? And he said, well, just got a lot of leads. I'm like, okay, well, hire somebody to take on these leads, and you need to put him over the plumbing department because he is your guy to help you scale. Because right now you're bottlenecking your own company and you don't even see it. And so it just is that kind of where you
and that's brilliant, because that's the value that having somebody from the outside come in, because when you're in it, you don't necessarily see it.
Right.
To come in, especially when you've got the experience to back up, right?
For sure.
So there's a lot of respect that the owners are going to give you just because you've been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. So I think that's super valuable. Well, we're kind of at the end of our time here.
Oh,
but,
man.
That was quick,
I know.
huh?
So much
Yeah,
fun.
we could literally.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we've been here. It's like we could literally go for 2 hours. Easy. That one of the, I think the reasons why the show does so well is because it's a conversation. It's a bunch of entrepreneurs that are talking about a particular subject. We usually focus on our guest. Sometimes we focus on other things, but we're
Like the cruise.
kind of taking it in different directions, but we're about having a good time as well. So, Jake, if folks want to get in touch with you for Resilient Roots, how do they do that?
They can go to www.resilient-roots.net. And they can do that, or they can just email me at info@resilient-roots.net as well.
All right. And that's Jake at...
Info
at, gotcha.
Info at Resilient, or, you can put Jake in front of that. That's my email, so...
All right. Thanks, Jake. I appreciate that, man. Good
Yeah.
conversation. Enjoyed that. And the logo on your hat, is that anything in particular? Is that Resilient
that's
Roots?
Resilient Roots'
Okay.
logo. And then
All right,
also we have a little bit of promotions we want to give out to our guests real quick. So if you for the problem solvers, free service calls. If you call in, it's a promo. It's a RR Pod 25 is free service calls for anybody that needs our services. And then with Resilient Roots, I'm just doing a free discovery call for anybody that needs help with their operations and their business. And just go, and you can email me at info@resilientroots.
Resilient-roots.net.
Yeah, you can see my email.
I've got it.
Info at resilient-roots.net, or you can just go to our website, resilient-roots.net, and just, you can go through the form there, and I can help you out.
Love it.
So,
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, good job, everybody. All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. No dashes in that. You guys have a great week. We'll see you on the next one.
thank you.